Nikki Haley has wound up being a way better debater than I ever thought was possible. Her answers were really solid, and there was a fire in her eyes in this debate that was different than the first one. Many people said she did good in the first debate, but this one was different. She had really good answers on healthcare. Overall, just had solid answers. Again, she had a hard time distinguishing herself from Ron DeSantis and from Vivek Ramaswamy, but she went on a wild tirade against Vivek at one point for working with China, which I'll give her credit for. I don't think Vivek Ramaswamy worked with China in the way that Republicans are wanting to regulate, but I still give her credit for going in hard. She attacked Tim Scott as well. She just kind of seemed hungry. Like she had this fire in her eyes. It was clear that I just got the sense that people would trust her as an executive. And so, again, she didn't do anything special. It wasn't like she had some crazy political strategy. She had good answers, and she didn't look like a corpse on stage. And so that makes her number 2 in my mind. I don't know how it is for you guys all around the United States and even the world. We do have quite a bit of an audience in the UK and Australia and New Zealand. But at least in Utah, where I live, it took a turn this week. It got cold, and that is why I've partnered with Gulag America. Gulag America does have t-shirts for the summer, but my favorite thing that they provide are the sweatshirts. They've got hoodies with patriotic slogans. They're really high quality stuff at a really great price. If you use my code JoshCarr10, you will get 10% off at gulagamerica.com. They make for fantastic gifts as well. So if you have a family member who's patriotic that has a birthday coming up, I seriously suggest using my code JoshCarr10 to go get them some sweet clothes. They wash really well, and you just can't have too many hoodies as you go into pumpkin spice latte season. In my opinion, guys, the winner of this debate was Ron DeSantis. One, he had a lot more time to talk than the first debate, in my opinion, but he had a moment that was so good on stage, and then he gave it up. And if he had stayed on this, I actually think he could have gained tons of traction. He went in on Trump at the very beginning of the debate. He did a similar thing to Chris Christie, talking about how he was not hard on debt. He said that Trump should be on stage. He called him out. He said Trump should be on stage to answer for what he did in the last year of his presidency. It was a great attack. I thought it was very effective. He did it in a way, because there's been a lot of talk about Trump shouldn't be debating, and in a lot of ways, I think Trump shouldn't have been at the first 2 debates because he's got such a good lead. But now Donald Trump is talking about not going to any of the future debates, and the way DeSantis really phrased it was powerful, and I think that for any Trump supporters watching, they may have realized that Trump is being kind of a baby about it. He talked about banning the CCP from purchasing land in Florida, which he did. I thought that was really effective, especially when talking about China, which was a central theme of the night. He also had just really good answers on foreign policy, which I think he specifically prepared for, because obviously one of the critiques of Ron DeSantis is that he may be a good executive, but he doesn't have any foreign policy experience in the same way that Donald Trump does. And Donald Trump was a very good foreign policy chief executive. And so I think that was a good pivot for Ron DeSantis to go into a foreign policy route, and he had good answers. The message from Ron DeSantis was very simple, which was, I don't talk about doing, and this is something that people in other podcasts and other political commentators have mentioned, especially about Vivek Ramaswamy specifically. But Ron DeSantis' message was, I don't talk about doing good things. I don't talk about doing awesome conservative things and creating this, revolution of conservatism in America. I did them in Florida. Like, I actually did it. And that was the overall message and thesis of his, just the responses in that debate. Trump talks about it a lot. Vivek talks about it a lot. And they may be able to execute. We don't know. Trump, and when I say we don't know with Trump, what I mean is we don't know if Trump can win elections anymore because he's lost the last 3. But Ron DeSantis just said, look, I talk about it, I do it. There's the evidence. And he did it in a much better way where it wasn't annoying like in the past, where he kind of just talks about Florida a lot, and he's been criticized for that. I thought it was a really good message. I think if he continues on that message, he will lead Vivek Ramaswamy until the end of the primary. I do want to talk about the second sponsor of this podcast, which is Two Beards Post. Right now, if you go to twobeards.club, you can find the best beard and body care. The stuff smells incredible. One of the things that I love most about Two Beards Club, you may notice that I do not have a beard. I have a lot of friends that have beards. They need help upkeeping them, as I'm sure a lot of people listening do. But one of the things that I love that they do for both their beard stuff as well as their body stuff, which I prefer to use since I don't have a beard, is that they make things in very small doses, very small batches, just to ensure the best quality. Right now, if you head over to twobeards.club, you can see that high quality product, again, for your beard and bod. This is a family-friendly podcast, so I won't go into too much detail, but we know that the ladies love a sexy beard. That's why it is important to take care of it well. They have beard butter, creams, oils. You can check all that out, again, at twobeards.club. If you don't have a beard like me, there's stuff like deodorant that smells fantastic. It's high quality, not aluminum, like all the crappy stuff at the store. Go check it out once more at twobeards.club. So here are my overall thoughts. I want to talk a little bit about kind of just my overall thoughts on the issues, but as well as I do want to have a word about the moderators. Dana from Fox was a really good moderator, and I saw some things on Twitter about her being bad. I could not disagree more. She had no tolerance for people not answering her questions, and there were some great roast moments during the debate where she literally was like fiery. She was just roasting them. She roasted Tim Scott and Mike Pence for just like not answering her question. She pushed them hard. I thought she was a fair moderator. And so overall, she was the best one by far. I do have a theory though coming out. So the person who attacked the most during this debate was Nikki Haley, I would say. And I have a theory based on her attacks. Vivek and DeSantis are friends. That's what I think. I think they've talked. They don't attack each other very often. They almost never reference each other. And when the other candidates talk dirt on them, this is the really interesting thing. You'll hear like Nikki Haley talk dirt on Tim Scott. If you ever got a wide shot of that, Ramaswamy and DeSantis were always like right next to each other, nodding their head, kind of laughing and smiling, and sometimes like even pointing. And they had almost like this camaraderie during the second debate where I think that they've been in talks, and I think that if one of them wins the nomination, which is a long shot, I could see a ticket with DeSantis and Ramaswamy, which I think would be an absolute powerhouse ticket and would take out Biden and Kamala easily. So I could see a ticket with them both. They both see the war needs to end in Ukraine. They're the only candidates that are kind of in agreement on that. Although their plans are a little different, I think their overall message of like, we need to end this war rather than, keeping to fuel the military industrial complex, they were in agreement on that. This is my biggest frustration with the debate, was that there was not enough questions that distinguished the Republicans. This is why the debate was overall boring and why overall the debate was not good. They were asking these questions on immigration, which is a big issue. And no doubt Republicans know Republicans are the people to fix it. But we don't disagree on this. In fact, like half the Democrats don't disagree with us on this. So why are we talking about immigration? We all know we need to build a wall. We all know we need to send the military to the southern border. No one disagrees with that. The Republican candidates up there might have just like these tiny disagreements on how to execute that. But overall, every single person, I think, speaking as a Republican, I think most Republicans could look at any candidate up there and say, yeah, we trust them to fix immigration. And so I think that was a big mistake. The big disagreements were on TikTok and Ukraine. They attacked Vivek for being the only one on TikTok, as obviously China has big polls on TikTok. And Vivek's response was very simple, which is, if you guys just want to be self-righteous about this and lose, you can do that. But for me, TikTok is how you reach out to younger voters. So I'm going to use every tool at my disposal. And I think this was a more powerful argument personally. I understand TikTok is linked to China. I understand the dangers of that. But the reality is we have to win elections to enact change. If we want to ban TikTok from the United States, for instance, we have to have a Republican president. And unfortunately, when people are so high and mighty and they say, no, I won't work with those tools, they're going to lose the young vote in a way that Vivek Ramaswamy probably wouldn't. So I think that he won on that front. That was probably his best argument of the night. It made the other people, frankly, just look old and stupid. There was a lot of fighting, lots of interrupting, especially from Doug Burgum, who apparently just felt like he, with his 3% polling, he felt obligated to have the most time in the room. I mean, in my opinion, you literally should have as much time to speak as the polling suggests. Like DeSantis has 4 times more polling votes than Doug Burgum does. He should have 4 times more time to talk, in my opinion. But nothing wrong with interrupting. I just didn't think, like, I couldn't help but think that there were way too many people up on the stage. When there's 7 people and they're all vying for time, I totally get it. You want to have your time. You want to be able to get that across. But Doug Burgum, Mike Pence, Chris Christie, Tim Scott, they're not going to win the nomination. Ron DeSantis, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Nikki Haley, they're really probably not going to either. I mean, the odds are so low. But they could, and they deserve a chance. The other 4 literally have no shot whatsoever. So why are they still on the stage? And looking forward to the 3rd debate. So for this debate, you needed 3% in national polling to get there. The next debate is 4%. Why? Why do we need to hear from Doug Burgum for the 3rd time? Tim Scott, Chris Christie, Mike Pence, they have nothing to offer that's different. We need to hear people who are polling at 12%, 8%. At the end of the day, it should be Trump, DeSantis, and Ramaswamy on stage. We need to see how they are, what answers they have for each other, how they're different. I really think it would only take one debate to know. If Donald Trump's polling is still through the roof after that, Donald Trump is the nominee. That's how it's going to be. But we don't need to hear from Doug Burgum and Tim Scott anymore. They're not going to win. We know it. Don't even get me started on the people who didn't qualify for the debate. They need to drop out. But once again, Trump won the day because they didn't attack him enough. That is at the end of this kind of analysis of the debate, they should have attacked Trump more. I know they don't want to alienate the base, and that's fine, but at some point he has to answer for some of the crappy things he's done, and he has, and they can attack him on it. But if they keep telling people that he did a pretty dang good job, and then they're going to do a good job, people just look at it and they're like, I'll just go with him, especially considering he already has 60% polling. They also could have attacked Biden more. I know that we don't want to always make things about the past, and I respect the candidates for looking for the future, but at some point you are running against other people. You need to explain to us why you are better than them, not just why you're good. That was the problem with the night. People were explaining why they were good. They weren't explaining why their opponents were bad. That had to happen. It did not happen. For that reason, I do not think the polling will change hardly at all. Ron DeSantis may get some sort of a bump, especially if we see lower candidates like Doug Burgum and Larry Elder drop out. But until that happens, I don't see the polling changing at all.